I definitely am not going to do a 17-year tattoo journey again.
You said it before. That's one thing's neat. You can see your old tattoos, your slightly newer tattoos.
It's my story of my work. Yeah. I can see how I tattooed on your sleeve, to the next sleeve, to your back, to your front, to what I'm now doing on your legs. I mean, I definitely made them all kind of match and be cohesive, but I see the subtleties of basically half my career on your body.
Better eyes, a little more finer details in the early days.
Yeah, a little more bold and simple nowadays.
I love it. I like the newer ones better.
Thank you. I'm still improving.
You've gotten better.
Shit's about to go down. I'm feeling something in my spirit.
Chats and Tatts with Aaron Della Vedova.
I am stoked to announce that Sullen Clothing is now a sponsor of the show. I've known Ryan and Jeremy for 20 plus years. Amazing human beings, huge supporters of the tattoo community. If you're a tattoo artist and you want to do a t-shirt design with Sullen, you can send that over to design@sullenclothing.com, and they would love to see what you've got. Again, thank you, Sullen, for your support. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jeremy. And now back to the show. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Chats and Tatts with me, your host, Aaron Della Vedova. Forgive me today if my energy's a little off. I just got back from Cabo San Lucas, and I just got margaritas with the ice. I didn't bother saying no ice. I'm paying the price for the ice. But I'm going to do my best today to kind of bring it up a notch for you guys, because I have one of my favorite human beings in the world with me in studio today. I've often talked on the show about the most beautiful thing in tattooing I've experienced is the relationships and the bonds that I make with these clients that I work with for so many years. And the guy that's here today, he did a whole bodysuit with me. We think around 330 hours of tattooing that we started on him 17 years ago. So we've had so many days together, sitting in a room, talking about life, talking about philosophy, talking about religion, and anything you can think of. We've discussed it in depth. And over those years, I learned that he's a really fascinating dude that thinks about things in a way that I've never met anyone else who kind of thought of things that way. Very unique approaches to life. So without further ado, please welcome my friend, my guest today, Ryan Johnson.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, my energy's up. I'm here from Canada. I got a kidney stone. I pass right by that. I bring the energy here, so you got to get past the diarrhea.
Oh,
you got to get past whatever came from Mexico. Has anybody introduced you on the show? This man here, that's true. I've sat with him 330 hours. It's even hard to say. It's hard to think about. I've sat with him outside of work. The conversation is weird. You do not sit with somebody who's putting physical contact on you, who's asking you to respond, who's asking your thoughts on things. I think I learned a lot about myself from sitting in here, not just the conversation. What can you physically take? So, sitting here today, hearing you introduce me, it just brings back a flood of emotions. And it hasn't been 17 years straight, but it has been 17 years to even think I won't do this again. I mean, you start to think about, I have a little bit of skin here. I have a little bit of skin here. What can we do to keep it going? But looking forward to talking to you. It's great to be here.
It is surreal, man. It is very surreal to think that a whole chapter for you, especially of your life, ends today. The 17 years of collecting tattoo work.
You change everybody's life when you give a certain tattoo, but, I can even talk to you, always change for the better, but whatever happened, you changed it. I mean, I walk around with my whole appearance being changed because of what you did. And it's not just the art. I mean, it all comes and it keeps going. You don't keep coming back for that many hours and that many pieces to someone you don't like, to somebody you don't want to be with. So it's, it starts to sound cliche saying words like a journey, but it's a journey, man. It's crazy. So yeah, I can say to not many people, you've certainly changed my life. Every once in a while when people are staring at you, I say it wasn't a change for the better, but overall, I mean, it defines me.
It is.
I hide it, that defines me. I show it, that defines me. It really is me now. So yeah, here we go.
Here we go. And I think on today's episode, because we do have a bit of work to do today, we got at least 2 or 3 hours, I think, to finish up.
And you always underestimate. So warning, I think we might have 3.5 hours.
Warning. So we're going to break right now, go over there, do the tattoo, get you finished. That'll create this apex moment of the fact that we are done. Then we're going to come back over here and we're going to talk about that journey, what it was like, what it feels like to be done, because you will be done at that point. And also, I've got some notes on some other interesting questions that, because your take on a lot of things is so interesting, and I want you to share that with people, and a little bit about your life and what you do for a living, and all the things that make you Ryan. So, with all that being said, let's do it. Let's just get over there and finish this bodysuit. I can't. I just on my mind. We got to get it done. We have to do it now.
Shit's about to go down. Chats and Tatts with Aaron Della Vedova.
Boom. High five, brother.
Finished Ryan Johnson's bodysuit after approximately 350 hours worth of tattooing. Those are the final strokes on his ankle. It's a little surreal. I don't know really what to say. I'm a little speechless. Long journey, my friend. Thank you so much for taking it with me. Really highlighted my career right here.
Oh man. I'm very rarely speechless. Very rarely do I have something to say, but I have nothing to say
to that. What do you say to that?
Oh, I'm just so happy to be done. So sad to be done at the same time. With no more tattooing.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We went over there. It happened for you really quickly, but for us, I think it was about 4 hours of tattooing, ish, and which completes Ryan's entire bodysuit.
Oh, I was going to do this one, but we can do that one.
Amazing, dude. How about we start with a toast?
Yeah.
My goodness, man. Cheers to you.
To you. No, to you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but at the end, I got pretty emotional just because of I didn't see this coming. This.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm upset. I'm happy.
Well,
but
no, the thing is, I'll go.
You go ahead.
You don't, people make acquaintances and people make friends, and this has nothing to do with tattooing. But especially like as men, you don't really make new friends in life. That only comes around so often. And it's a weird thing. I pay you every time I see you, but we've gone beyond that. I mean, I've moved around. You're a busy guy. We stay in touch.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little different than what you really start doing. I mean, I've met a lot of people in the places I work, but I think about you. I think about what you're doing. And even if I don't talk to you for so many months, I want to talk to you and I want to keep in touch with you. So this really isn't a tattoo thing anymore. I mean, it just so happened that somebody who wanted to get a tattoo met someone who gives tattoos that they share a lot in common with. And at the other side, don't share a lot of common with. And that makes us really have a good time. So, we got to know each other's wives. We know each other's kids. I mean, we all talk about a great friend, but it's really real. Like it really is. And, it would be very odd if all of a sudden I didn't get tattoos anymore and I don't see you anymore, but it's just not something that crosses my mind. I just know we won't talk for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but we're going to always keep in touch. It just has to be that way because that's what friendship is. But really beyond that, now we're tied together because of this. We always have this tie together. Like, I want to show you how it ages. I want you to see it. And I want to see the new things you do. So rambling a bit, but it's because it's hard to stop talking because, it really is real and it's really neat. But I don't think everybody gets a tattoo from somebody and gets like a lifelong friend. So when I toast you and say to you, it's genuine and it's not just to you for the work you did, but it's to you for the friendship we made. And it probably needs to be so much. It needs all this suffering and all this experience and all this fun we had. But No, really. To you, Aaron, I really appreciate it. And, look forward to keeping in touch and look forward to hanging out more without any pain from my side anyway.
Well, we will keep in touch for sure. I know you're moving to the Philippines, and I've never been there, and that is number one on my list for my next travel plans. So we will be seeing each other. Eventually, you're going to end up back in Canada, which isn't so far away, and I go up to Montana all the time. So I really don't think my emotion today is never going to see Ryan and Connie and the kids again. It's just strange how many relationships do we have that you've had such an intense experience with that person, like men or women who climbed some very dangerous mountain together. And, this thing together for us, because it's really hard on you, the collector, to sit for that many hours. It's also hard on me, the tattooer, to sit there and grind, and back hurts, eyes hurt, brain hurts, you're hurting. Each session almost ends with two people who are just fried.
Well, it's funny. We talked about the last one. You asked, did you quit or did I quit? Because it's like that. I mean, you'd think the person getting it quits, but I mean, that's not real. You quit a lot, and I take a lot of shots at you, but that's not a shot. You quit for a good reason. I mean, hunched over, staring at a small space, lights there. It's real. I can see it.
We had a lot of joy, but we've suffered a lot together through this process. And suffering with somebody really builds a lot of depth in a relationship.
And the suffering's a big part of it. I mean, I give you grief again about numbing cream and should people do that?
By the way, he never touched a single drop of numbing cream for this entire 350-hour process.
And I'm proud of that, and I'm proud that I was able to do it. And, I've joked about it. But yeah, the suffering is really a part of it. It makes it memorable. It's a weird thing to say, but I don't think you want to do it without the pain. And I don't think numbing cream takes away the pain, but I think it's a big part of it. And people talk about that addiction to it. I don't think I'm addicted to pain. I always want to get it done, but there's something about sitting there, taking pain for a few hours, leaving here knowing I can take that. It helps you grow. It helps. It's fun would be a weird way to say it, but there's something about it that it does feel good. Not for everybody, but for me, that feels good.
Well, now you're kind of getting into the question I kind of want to ask you, which is, why would a guy who's got a wife, who's got two sons, who's got a thriving career, who's busy as hell, take all that time out of his life to go commit to this? I think I might know this answer a little, but I want you to put it into your words.
I might need your help on it because I get asked it. That's like maybe the number 3 or 4 question you get asked. And I right away answer, I must be mentally disturbed, because it makes people back off from me, because I don't even want to I don't know that I fully think about why would I do it. I do not think it's normal. I do not think it's right. But here, you warned me you're going to ask it. And I warned you, I'm not really sure. And I don't know that it's the same for everybody, but there's a few things. One, what I liked about tattoos in the beginning, which is a weird thing, which we should talk about, is I like that they're outsider and they're counterculture, and it's a way to show I'm different. I don't need to be like you. Now, what do I like about your shop? It's welcoming, it's open. You don't run it like a dingy, shitty place. So that's almost the reverse. But at the same time, I want to show people I do what I want. I'm an individual. So there's certainly an aspect of that. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that I put a story on my body. On the flip side, I never tell anybody what the story I put on my body is. It's very strange that way. I like to stand out, but I hate when people are staring at me over them. I hide them at work. I never volunteer that information, but it's just like it puts something on you that is there, and I can decide if I show it to somebody. I can decide if I don't show it to somebody. I can decide if I talk about it. So that's a lot. And I don't even know if I'm saying why, but that just shows you I'm really not sure, but I've always known I wanted a tattoo. And then I had a tattoo, and then I had an idea for another tattoo. And then it was really off and running. And then you start to get into, can I really get it all done? Can I put the time to it? Can I put the money to it? Can I face the pain of it all? And there's a point where it's like, you set out a challenge and now you're just going to finish the challenge. But if you ask me really a hard single why, it's all those things. But there's definitely something weird about it. I mean, it's to be a person who thinks about it, and I can't even put it into words why I would do it. There's something weird to me.
That you wouldn't have like really clear, like, this is why.
I really don't think there is this is why.
I mean, I think some of the things you said make perfect sense to me. It's the same reason I got tattooed. I, as a young man, saw a culture that everyone was following the rules. Everyone was doing as they were told. I should go to college. I should get this kind of job. I should live in this type of neighborhood.
And you can take that. Check. I did. But I'm not there. So, is it like rebelling against what you're doing? Is it that simple? Because I did all those.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why. I don't want to fit in when it comes to certain things. And I want to tell people I don't fit in.
And I know that about you.
Yeah.
What are you? I always say that you're a contrarian.
I'm a contrarian. I'm a skeptic with my mouth, with my words, with my thoughts. I'm not scared to say it. And this is maybe a reflection to say, I like this. You should like it too, in my opinion. But if you don't, I don't really super much. That's wrong. I do care if you don't like it. You should like it. This is awesome. It's super awesome. Look at it. It's, one of the best in the world did it. He did an awesome job. We put a lot of thought into it. Yeah, you should like it. And I'll argue that you should like it. But I don't care if you don't.
Well, yeah, there's a lot there. So I think some of what you're saying, and for a lot of people, this rings true. It's also a way of filtering out the culture. Like, I know that when I walk into a room or a party or a place with my tattoos, and you even more than me, I mean, sitting here as a 30-year tattoo artist, you've got more ink than me. And I know that there are certain people in that environment who are going to probably avoid me.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Stare at you, judge me and all those things. And to some degree, I kind of want that, because to me, I don't have to waste time with those people, because to me, cool people, good people, people that are really living life authentically would never do that. No.
Ever. They would come up and still talk to you and decide based on your words and the things you stand for, whether or not they want to hang out or be your friend.
Yep.
So it's sort of like this like armor, like, hey, if you can't even get over the fact that I'm heavily tattooed, great.
Yeah.
It's better if you stay on that side of the room. Because if we fake talked for an hour, and I'm really bad with fake, I just can't stand doing things that don't have a ton of authenticity. If there's not real things happening in a relationship that I feel are authentic and meaningful, then I have other things I'd rather be doing.
That's a good one. You got me. There's a vanity aspect. I was
going to go there next to see if you'd touch on that.
I do. I go to a nice restaurant. I've joked with my wife, with Connie. Like, I haven't joked. I say it. I mean it. I go to a restaurant. I can go to a cool restaurant in Los Angeles. I can wear a white shirt. You can buy whatever shirt you want. You can buy way better clothes than me, but you can't buy this. You can, but it's not very easy. And everybody can look. Yeah, it's vanity. I mean, I'm telling you, I can get these. I did get these. It's mine. It's all mine all the time. And yeah, I constantly have a little bit of vanity towards it. I think I can say that.
And I think, on the vanity aspect, I think that's something that a lot of people get way too carried away with tattoos, because I've been challenged on that level before. And I immediately look at whatever the person's wearing. And hopefully it's somebody that spent a little extra money on a watch or extra money on a pair of shoes or whatever. And I'm like, well, what's going on there? Why $5,000 on a watch when all you needed was something to tell you the time? I saw you got an iPhone.
Yeah.
So, but no, you chose to spend $5,000 on a watch and put it on your wrist. How, in what way, in what universe is that any different than me getting tattooed?
Yeah, I don't see it as much different. I mean, it's just money. This is money plus time, plus thought, plus...
Well, it's also effort. Art. I mean,
it's
buying
art.
A beautiful watch is a beautiful piece of art.
Same as some of you hang on the wall. I like to do that too, but I hang it on my body, and it's do I every once in a while wish I could take it off? Yeah, I've thought about that.
Yeah.
But that's what long sleeve shirts are for, I guess.
That's interesting. When do those moments occur? Are they like the family, or when you have to go meet the teachers at the school and things like that? I've had those moments too.
Yeah, where you think that. New people, where you don't feel like being, people you're just going to breeze in, meet, breeze out. I don't feel like taking off my jacket and having that be something somebody identifies with. It would be a little easier for anonymity, but those are few and far between. I mean, yeah, it crosses your mind, but overall, nah.
Yeah, I have those moments too. It's one of the reasons as a tattoo artist, I haven't really blasted out my throat, neck, and things. And it's not that I'm ashamed of what I do or anything like that. There's just moments where I want to put on a long sleeve shirt. I don't want anyone to know that about me. And I can just use my words, and then they can walk out of there and make an opinion of me based on how I behaved and what I had to say that night, not confusing what I have tattooed on me with what they think that means. And it just muddies the water to some degree. There are times where it's just so nice. And you did your tattoos in that way. You have what we call the businessman suit, even 3/4 sleeves. But you can easily put on a collared shirt and no one has to know anything.
And I realize that it's all contrasting. I want attention. I want people to see it. I want to and that's all part of it. I mean, we're complex
But
people.
you can choose your moments.
You choose your moments.
Like when you want the attention, you want to take your shirt off at the pool and everyone wants to gawk at you. And it kind of feels cool to have everyone going like, holy shit, look at that dude's body. Who the hell does that?
But that's one thing you learn. You learn what gawking is. And I tell my kids that. I mean, it's unreal what you can feel for people looking at you. And you think, people with disabilities, people with differences, like it's really made me conscious of how easy it is to hear whispering and how easy it is to feel looking. And it's okay. It's all right. But I mean, you should keep that in mind when you meet other people. I mean, it's surprising how easy it is, I'm sure to feel the look of other people and hear the whispering. But it's okay. I get it too. I mean, it's shocking. And again, I wanted to shock. I did shock. Back to you. Did I do this thinking I was going to do this? And No. I think once I did a sleeve and a second sleeve and did a back, then I knew I was going to do the whole thing. Because it always felt like incomplete. And there's something about incomplete that to my personality needs a finish. And a sleeve is complete. But once I started tying it together, I just felt like I was going to finish it at that point.
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, look, be careful. If you cover about that 50% mark of your body, the other part of the body is gonna start feeling weird.
Yeah, if you got a feel for symmetry and you got a feel for completeness and imbalance, because I remember I even used to tell you I was gonna leave one leg or something. It's not that I'm staring in the mirror thinking it looks funny. It didn't. I felt like I wanted it complete.
I know you really well, and you're also one of these guys that when you get into something, you get into something.
I do.
I mean, even simple things like, I'm going to go try this pickleball game. Next thing I know, you're like competing. You're like having fights on the court with other players. I love that about you though.
Yeah.
You're one of the things I really love about you. And obviously you have this characteristic or you wouldn't be wearing a bodysuit, but you have this like stick to itness with anything you touch.
No, I appreciate it.
You get interested in a subject. I mean, one time you told me, I can't believe you do this. You do so many funny things.
You're going to tell me now.
Yeah. You'll be like, oh yeah, you'll find a musician. You'll like a song.
Yeah.
And it's not enough for you. Once you like an artist and like a song, you listen to every album they've ever made many times over. You read their biography. You completely digest that artist and then you're done. And then you move on to your next interest.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who really does it like that.
And I got into tattooing. I got into tattooing all the way. I know about other tattooers. I like looking at other people's tattoos. And you know what? Now I'm done. I did it. And just like you said, I move on. But yeah, now I did it. And I did it. And I don't know what that is. It's not obsessive compulsive because I can leave it alone. But yeah, when I'm in, I'm really in. And I've been into so many things in my life. It's funny. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I like that you like it because I think it's a quality. There's times where probably it goes over, and maybe this is an example of where it's a little beyond equality, but yeah, I like it. It's my real personality. It's a genuine nature, and I just got into tattoos. I got into what you were doing. I got into what the people in the shop were doing. I like it. And look, it's exciting today finishing it. The shop's in here looking at it. It's awesome. It's your little day to celebrate that you accomplished something and you move on.
And one more aspect I think that I see in most of my clients that seem to be very, very interested in tattoos is I think my clients are artists. I think you're an artist. I think you're a highly creative person.
I used you so much to put an idea on skin. I mean, I feel like I used you and I fell in love with that part of saying, I've got an idea of what I want and seeing what you did with it. And I don't, to your credit, I don't think I changed much of what you did, but I just love to give a concept to you and see what you could do with that. And that's a great skill for you. I mean, to be able to take someone's pretty high level idea and turn it into something cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I feel very fortunate that that's the way you did it. Because I didn't say do this. And I also didn't say just give me whatever you want. I said, I want something like this. And this is what we got.
Yeah. Well, it's co-creating. And that's what tattooing really is. It's one of the rare art forms where two people come together and they co-create the art. I mean, usually.
Yeah.
My point, though, was more that I think you are a person who really, I know you are. You're a person who really loves art. You're an art collector. You collect paintings. You collect surfboards. You collect skateboards. You collect music. Dude, I've never met anyone who's gone to so many music concerts. You are it's funny, too, because you're an engineer by nature. Your mind is very, what is that type of mind? I want to say mechanical, but you're more complex than that. But it's just interesting that your love for art runs so deep. And I think my tattooing on you and our co-creation of that tattooing was just basically a large art project. And you like being a part of creative projects.
I love creative projects and I love the craft. I love watching a craftsman. And I think that's what's neat, to give you another compliment, is you're an artist, but you guys are craftsmen. You know how to work a machine. You know how to set things up. You were talking earlier about watching. Aaron's very systematic in his approach, and you're thinking about a person, and it's a process. And actually, that's really the kind of engineer I am, is a process engineer. Or that's hard for me to say because as a Canadian, I want to say process engineer. But as a process engineer, I like to watch a person work a process, and I like to see the end goal. So these are fun things for me. It's fun. And, I used to ask you a lot more questions about it. I've kind of sort of grooved into a lot of what it's done. But yeah, I like watching the process of it all, from the drawing to the more technical side of watching you set things up. But it's not something I think about a lot, but yeah, it's really enjoyable for me. It really is. It's just those aspects beyond getting it done. There's the talking, the process, the whole thing. It's fun,
I agree with that. I mean, there could be I could be flipping through the channels and suddenly there's some show and some guy's making a sword. Any kind of craftsman, I just stop and I look and I'm like, how is he doing that? How is that work?
Organizing people isn't so different. Like starting up plants, executing projects, like seeing how and talking about, then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. These are all the same things. And I really think, this is how minds like to work. This is how minds like to be engaged. And yeah, it's funny, like we've talked a lot. Like you've got the aspect of the art side, the aspect of the craft of the tattooing, but the business aspect. I mean, these are all things that it's funny, the crossovers, between what people think of professional industries, corporate industries, but even like we're all doing similar things and we're thinking about how to optimize what we do. And that's neat. That's process. And you can really apply a lot of it in other places.
Well, yeah. I mean, your particular career, you're the top dude that builds these massive plants. These are extremely complex systems, and you are overseeing hundreds and hundreds of people.
There's so many dudes that are top that it's embarrassing to say that, but yeah, there's elements of overseeing that and moving through, and you're making something, organizing, planning, and yeah, it's just different aspects and elements of similar things. And yeah, I mean, I see it in industries all over the place. So yeah, that is what I do. And, if we got into what this tattoo is, like almost what the tattoo is kind of leading to a lot of this stuff. Like if you think about, it'd be nice to show, it's hard to show, but it's a guy on a tightrope. That's really what
Let's walk this path for a second, because I know I've heard most of it, but I'd like to tie it all together as best as you can in this final moment as we've completed your bodysuit. So we started with your left sleeve. And go ahead.
This is, and I can even saying like why it is almost more than I want to say. To me, it's so obvious, but I mean, let's just say it's a tightrope walker and the man is wearing the mask of a bird and he's walking on a tightrope and birds are picking at him. So he's trying to look like a bird and birds are trying to take him off a tightrope. Pretty simple, right? I mean, that's a simple concept. I hope it makes people think like he's trying to look a certain way. He's trying to look like birds, and birds are attacking. That's it. And you can take that a lot of different places. Like, I mean, I kind of know what I think about that, but I want,
let people interpret it their own way.
And should I really be so vain to think people even want to interpret it? But that is just what it is. It's somebody trying to look like a bird and birds are attacking him. Then I did my right arm. And I mean, it really was sequential. Like when I had this done, my right arm is the man dead on the ground and a spirit rising up from him and him breaking away. And I'm not very spiritual. I'm not religious. So, you know, what am I trying to get at there? It's just you tried to be something else. You got attacked. Then you stopped being that. You fell off. Was that a good fall, a bad fall? But now you're no more and you've become something else. That could be a sad story or a good story. Then I did my back. It's a man falling. His jacket's open. He's got his interests. He's got sort of, you can see that man falling away. No serious expression of panic or sadness or happiness, but the man's falling. So it's from here to here. My back is the man falling. And then really beyond that, the torso is just interesting concepts to me. This side of my chest is a book. The book is open. Pages are flying out of the book and the book's becoming a bird.
An origami.
An origami bird.
Origami.
So a book, paper is becoming a bird.
Well, kind of, and I'll cut in once in a while. I want you to
Sure.
finish, but and the pages are flying out of the book, and written on those pages are, you know, mechanical drawings, and this kind of echoes your life as an engineer.
Yeah, and I like to think knowledge, what's not book is knowledge, is becoming something. Then the other side is for me, it's called Meccano. It's maybe less common here, but it's like a version of like metal Lego. So a child's toy for building. Erector sets was a version. That's falling out. All the pieces are coming together and they're caging a bird. So, I mean, it's just sort of plays on things and thoughts of where knowledge makes a bird, technology, building stuff encages a bird. Kind of interesting, I think. And then my two legs are just two sort of opposites of thinking about something. One is a cat, which is fairly indifferent, falling through the whole picture, wrapped in ropes, and a snake coming up to attack the cat. My other side is two birds coming in and attacking a grasshopper in the middle. And it's just that idea of, you know, the threat, the indifference to the threat, you know, just kind of a cool thing. And then you get all your stuff mixing in with the way you did your ropes and the jewels and the chain and then the skulls on the chain. Not hard, deep meaning, but just a concept. And it's wild for me to think, just a giant piece that's a concept of man pretending what he's not, man in falling, man becoming something else, things attacking. Little things pieced all over in there, you know, a locket, which is what my wife wears, images my boys wanted me to put in there. It's hard to even remember all the different little things.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of, but there it is, you know,
You know, that was beautiful. Well, I mean, you've got me thinking now, because it's funny. I have a general idea, creative idea, when I start an art project or a painting. I'll say painting. Paintings are different for me just because there's no co-collaboration happening. It's just me. And I'll have a general idea, some idea of maybe good versus evil, or the idea of life after death. But then I'll start intuitively just kind of like, man, it would look cool if that was in there. Wouldn't it look kind of cool? And sometimes it's like years later that the story I painted starts to make sense back to me. And I'm like, I feel like it might be my own subconscious working things out that I don't fully understand. And then later as life goes on, I walk by this painting at my house or wherever, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what that fucking meant.
Well, I think that's a difference for you and I. That's you. Your instinct. I mean, and we're a good combination that way. Your instinct, and it's in you, and you can just flow out of you. I'm not, you know, I'm thought, I'm this and that. But if you didn't do them right and didn't do them together, it could be so bad. Like if you left me alone to do this tattoo, it would be 20 pounds of shit stuffed in a 10-pound bag. Like I would stuff everything in there, and you're freeing it all and just hearing that. And I think you've got that natural ability to let an idea flow out of you. And it doesn't surprise me that some of the things even, because I think what you're saying is it surprises you later on what you even did.
Yeah.
Like I don't think, for me, the surprise was different. I gave the idea, and then the surprise was to see what you did with the idea. So yeah, it's wild to talk about this because we came at it from a completely different way, and then this is kind of where we got to. But it's not a surprise for me that we got the idea, but it's a surprise for me how we did the idea, and maybe you're the exact reverse.
Well, and I guess my point was, I bet you as the years go on, if we're both lucky enough to live, maybe another 20, 30, who knows how many years, knock on wood, that your tattoos are going to unwind themselves and their meaning to you
I
little
like
by
that
little.
prediction. Yeah, I think that's good. You know me. I think I already know. I hate to, I can't leave it alone with you telling me that something might change, but I love it. I love that idea of thinking of a different part of it. And, maybe I will, because there was parts I never thought we were going to do. Those are 100% you. I mean, one of my favorite parts of it is my big stopwatch here. I never told you to do that. I don't know why you did that. There's no way you can remember back 17 years to know why you did it. Maybe you can, but it's just one of my favorites.
Well, to me, time is just an archetype of interest.
It's so good.
Time.
It's so good. And we got rid of the numbers, and then we ended up doing little images that I like. I mean, I've got skulls all over. I just love the skull.
Skull, another great archetype, which is the archetype of this limited thing that we do.
Yeah.
The game of life.
Yeah.
I sometimes refer to it almost like a video game, some kind of simulation, but it's set up with certain parameters, and they seem to be very, I just think whoever built this, see, I don't know, maybe you're an atheist. I am not. I guess I'm agnostic. I keep sensing that someone built this thing I'm in, and time had to be part of it, because with endless time, there's no one takes it seriously. You have to know that the shit's going to end. And then you start really caring about the moments. Like, oh, these moments count. Got to make them count. Got to make them count. Only get so many. I don't know. That's one angle on time. We could go down a rabbit hole on that one.
Such a classic move by you. The only more classic move for you is when you're really tattooing the worst place on me. You'll bring up a topic that gets a rise out of me. And then we agree, we're just going to talk about tattoos. We're just going to talk about the journey. And then he slides in, I think we live in a simulation. And I'm supposed to just sit back and, yeah, I also think we live in a simulation.
No, you do not sit back and agree with me. That's for sure. Yeah, well, that's just part of the banter that we have such fun doing. And, on that note, one of the other things,
not many people can say, I think we live in a simulation, and I'll go home and read a book about whether we live in a simulation, because in a month later, I'm going to see you and I want to talk about we live in a simulation or not. But
you have done that to me
I've done that many a time.
You've basically tore apart every philosophical bullshit story I ever gave you.
Well, you get a rise out of me. And
I love it though, because you're like my fact checker. If it wasn't for you, you know how much dumb shit I'd still believe in? You're the one that comes to the session and you're like, hey, Aaron, remember that shit you told me last time we tattooed? This is why it's not true. And oh shit, okay, maybe I was a little wrong on that one.
I don't know when the turnover happened, when you started to really spout your theories during the worst part of the tattoo, but it's really become evident that that's a move you've mastered.
I didn't know I did that.
Oh. It's normally like 3 or 4 hours into the tattoo. I haven't said anything in 10, 15 minutes. And it's like, you know what I think?
Well, one of the beautiful things I did want to highlight about our friendship, because I think it's important for the world right now, is we have wildly disagreed on so many things, from a lot of it politics, and a lot of it was politics. We don't deeply get into religion too much, but
and widely agreed on a lot of things,
and we
passionately agreed.
But the raddest thing was, I don't think I've ever felt like, fuck that guy. I've never had that feeling. Like, you have a wonderful way of just having a lively debate, and still there's this undertone of, oh, it doesn't matter what happens during this debate. We're still going to be best friends.
Yeah.
And we just go at it. And half the time, you win a little, I win a little, and we both just fucking laugh, and we go about our back to our business. And you go read a different book, or you listen to a different podcast, something you wouldn't have, or you don't even want to, but I'm going to make you, and vice versa. No. And I just think that is such a, well, it's a sign, I think, of true friendship. But
go ahead.
Well, and two, it's just in our world today, this like, if people can't agree with you, then they can't be spoken to. They got to go over there. No one can just have a friendly argument and still be buds.
Credit to both of us, for sure. That's 100% the case, except for the part about you winning some of the time. But that is very true, that we always walk away friends, and we've certainly disagreed. But that's the one thing I feel bad about for this discussion, is I am going to be of zero help to get people to watch this podcast, because I do my very best to stay off social media, and that is such a big part of it. We're so polarized. Let's not go too far off the line, but you brought me there. If all you're seeing is news you told the news algorithm to give you, then you don't want to hear from anybody anymore. And when you hear from people that are different, it's so jarring that you can't take it. So, I mean, I think both of us have done a good job at that for whatever way of minimizing, avoiding, staying open-minded. But my God, if we can't disagree about politics and still be friends, then this is in big, big trouble. And I think that's a direction that, a lot of these countries are moving towards. And not to go way too far in that direction, but I 100% agree with you. I've argued with everybody, but I've argued with you. I argue with Holly, and I never feel worried that means we're going to lose a friendship. And it has to be that way. We can be Republicans, we can be Democrats, we can be Christians, we can be atheists, we can be agnostic. We got to know that that's just part of us. That doesn't mean we like or don't like each other at the end of the day,
100% agree. And I think, there's a lot I could say on that. I'm just wildly aware that the algorithm, I don't get how it exactly works, but it's not too hard to figure out when you look up a fucking pair of shoes and next thing you know, it's spitting you out those shoes, or you get interested in a particular philosophical topic. And next thing you know, every podcast that's being pushed towards me is in support of that particular idea.
If you don't recognize it, that's the worst.
That's the part, though, that I know you get and I get. I don't fully get how these algorithms work or who's in charge of them or what their end goals are. It might just be simple capitalism working without anyone really at the helm. I don't really even believe that there's some evil dude at the top that's just like, we're going to get them all to fight and we're going to control everybody. I do think those things have happened in history, and there's probably still characters out there like that. But I think it's just it's a technology unleashed upon the world for the purpose of capitalism and making money. And it's set up to do so. And its accidental discharge is feeding these people tunnels of information. What worries me the most is when you get people that can't even get to the point that we're at right now. Like, hey, can't we just admit that not everything you read online is true? Yeah. And you're being fed a certain stream of information that it's decided you like to hear, and so am I. And so the best thing we can do is just talk it out. Put the phones down, talk it out. I'm glad we did talk about this. I know we started on tattoos, but I think one of the biggest things I cherish about our relationship, and one of the biggest things I learned being your friend, was that's the way to get forward. That's the way to make progress. You mentioned to me early on when I first started tattooing you said this, I don't know if you remember, but you said, it's just strange because you're Canadian and you weren't new to America, but it was way back when we first started tattooing. You're like, I don't get it. Like, you guys go to parties and have arguments over politics and don't call each other anymore.
Yeah.
You said, we don't do that in Canada.
No.
It's not, I'm sure it happens occasionally, but nobody in your culture, it wasn't such a thing. It was more like, all right, good argument. See you next week, bud. And we'll continue,
But let me tell you, that's changing. That's changing.
Even in Canada, you mean?
Proximity to U.S., same influence.
I think it's changing worldwide. I think it's back to your original point, which is
the power.
As these phones light up and everybody owns one and everyone thinks that they found truth and they're going down their AI rabbit hole and they're on ChatGPT and I know for a fact you're wrong. I looked that up yesterday.
I do remember saying it to you. I distinctly do. And I remember saying it to other people, and it was a source of pride for me, and it's slipping away. Because if we can't do that, then we're in big trouble. And if we also can't separate, we can't just be this party has this belief, that's all my beliefs. We should be able to convince each other of stuff. We should be able to be convinced of other stuff. And we also should be able to say, you're not going to convince me, I'm not going to convince you, we're now going to go our separate ways. But yeah, it worries me a lot that these are things that maybe we can't do anymore. But I'm not sure. Are you saying everyone should get large format tattoos and everything would be that much?
That's exactly what I'm saying. If everyone just got a bodysuit, the world's problems will be solved.
I'm not saying you're right, but I'm also not saying you're wrong.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful. And yeah, that's been a big part of our relationship and something I've really taken out into the world with me. I repeat that statement to a lot of my friends, and just in general conversation and polite conversation, I always bring it up. And without even getting into politics, I like bringing that up. Like, isn't it weird how every time you look in your phone, you find the things you're looking for, and every time I open mine up, I find the shit I'm looking for.
What I believe in, what I kind of already have subscribed to, and right. That's not good.
No, I think the youth that's coming up today, I have, as you know, I have two daughters, one's 18, one's 12. And I talked to her about that. And she seems very hip to that. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, duh.
I think so too. I have a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old. And I talked to my 14-year-old and he also seems hip to it. But that even worries me because thinking but not really know it, like it is not, you shouldn't just think knowing it. It is so aggressive. It is so sneaky. I really want him to be a critical thinker all the time. And, literally yesterday, he was giving me shit over this. I'm a hard ass when it comes to it. Like, think hard about every single thing. Why do you want that pair of shoes? Why do you want that? I really want to instill that in him. And I think if we don't push on that really hard, but he will say that to me, and he does know, but he's also still falling for it. Why does he want this particular pair of shoes? And he doesn't like to be challenged on that. At the end of the day, get the pair of shoes. I don't give a shit. But think about why you want them. It's not natural. There's no reason for a boy in Rancho Cucamonga, California to suddenly think they want this pair of designer shoes. Somebody tricked you. Somebody convinced you. Some technology did it. At least acknowledge that. And then we'll buy them for you anyway because you're annoying. But at least acknowledge that something did that to you. That's important to me.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Wow. It's a really good point. It just gets me into that place when we get into this little rabbit hole, which we've done so many times. I start thinking about what is really going to happen. I mean, 200 years ago, you kind of knew what was going to happen with your kids. They were going to take over your farm. You were going to hand over the tools that your grandpa handed down to you. Most likely they were going to use them. Things would change a little, but it was pretty known what your kids what their world would look like after you were gone. And we're looking at I have no clue. I have no clue.
You can't. No, that's a good point. It's really, and I mean, nobody had a perfect vision then. Things were changing, but it is such a radical change. It's such an aggressive technology now. And I keep using that word, but I think it's aggressive. It's aggressive style capitalism where you are the product. That's a key difference. Someone's not selling to you. Someone is selling you. I hope that doesn't get you in trouble with the algorithm, but I think that's so important to say is that you are the product. The person watching this right now, if we suddenly went viral and enough get there, they'll be able to sell your views for more money. You're being sold. I'm not a Luddite. I've got a phone. I follow all this stuff. I was just telling you earlier, I'm addicted to these stupid videos on YouTube. I'm a product too, but I always want to know I'm a product.
I think the awareness of just knowing, it's one thing just to flip through Instagram, but if you have that level of awareness, it has a less effect on you. It's when you're doing it from a kind of a sleep kind of perspective.
Yeah, but even the awareness isn't enough. So yeah, I quit Facebook. I would love my kids to quit Facebook. I'll never force them to do it. We've talked about that before too. You don't want your kid to be a geek or a nerd or left out, so you got to sort of balance all that stuff. But that's just a crazy topic. But bring this back to your show and tattoos. This is something. How often do you go and say, I'm gonna, like, we're talking now because there's a microphone and we're doing your show, but like we talk because we have to talk. We're locked in a room. What a nice thing. Maybe that's a good idea, good business idea. I'm a guy, you can come and talk to me. Like, it's just so nice to know certain days I come here and talk to you. And we sit here in silence for long periods because you're hurting or I'm hurting. But that's a neat thing about tattooing. And that's a neat thing about this show. I like that concept of what you've done here is we're talking because of tattoos. But are we talking about tattoos? We were at first, but you can just see where that can sort of lead and how much conversation is going on nowadays. That's neat. And that's what I like about tattooing. That's one of the things I really like about it.
I agree. Well, I think also, obviously, this is a podcast and there's many out there, but the need for long format conversations is I think it was Joe Rogan that said it, but, you research more than me, and I feel like an idiot sometimes when I quote these like things I kind of hear and I repeat them, but I'm pretty sure this is a fact. I don't know how many years ago, but a presidential debate was 2 to 3 hours. Each person had, I don't know what it was, 20 minutes to discuss something. The other person had their 20 minutes to respond. It was cordial. It was polite. There was no yelling at each other. And now and obviously how they handle the presidential debates is its own issue.
No. That is such a good point. That is such a good point. If you just showing that to people and going back at what discussion used to look like to what discussion looks like now, it's funny because a couple of years ago, I think I was watching the presidential debate, and I think it was Trump Biden. I can't remember how far back it would have went, but at the same time there was an election in Canada, probably provincial, and I watched the two debates almost like sequential. That's another difference. Like there is decorum, there is rules, there is that thought of now we're going to talk about this topic, and you do not just veer off. But here, and we can switch to this, I mean, politics is a corporation of funding, and there's certain points to get out, and there's thoughts around how aggressive should you look and your posture. I mean, think back to Trump standing above Hillary Clinton and exuding, aggressiveness. Like, this is not debate. This is not discussion. And I think you're making a very good point.
But what would be, because you have been a person who's always, I've asked profound questions to, and you've always given me like, wow.
That's pressure now. What are you going to ask?
I know, I'm putting the pressure on. That's a really intelligent thought out answer. Like what would be one of the big power moves that I don't know, let's just say U.S. politics could take to make a drastic improvement?
Easy. That one's easy. Campaign funding.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how that's not number one in this country. It is so simple. It's such a simple solution to things. You cannot have PACs, political action committees. You cannot have super PACs. You cannot have this much untraceable, untrackable, not accountable amount of funding. Because this is so fundamental. And I mean, we definitely don't want to go into certain arguments about how pandemics were handled and all this, but there's no trust in the government anymore, especially in the US. That's documented. I mean, I don't have those stats, but you can see there's no trust. And if you can't,
they're out there, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't trust the government is supposed to police pharma. The government's supposed to monitor the media. The government's supposed to make rules for this. And somehow the government's become the enemy here. And I get it.
No, the servant of
right. They become
people.
the enemy because they're the servant of the dollar.
Right.
Take the dollar out of it. And I know I'm talking in absolutes, and I know people could say, so simple, like such a...
But it does seem simple.
Why not do it?
Well...
But I can tell you why.
Sorry. It would break down in an economic system that is in place that would displace so many people, and it's like this big momentous machine that...
I think it's worse.
It's like trying to stop a freight train.
If you said corporations, big money can't fund candidates for government, I think who would stop it? The people. And that's incredible.
Well, we've got somebody saying that right now.
How do the people, but how does Joe Schmo working hard, making middle wage, making lower class, how are these guys fighting on the side of big money? Because they've been duped into believing the so-called American dream that they can become billionaires too. So they're thinking that thought. Don't you dare try to limit what we can do. We can fund governments however we want. No, that's a good rule. We don't want big money to do it. But how has this happened that the little guy is fighting against that concept? Why are little guys fighting for huge corporations? Why are little guys fighting for mega millionaire billionaires?
Power of propaganda, dude.
Dude, it's manufactured consent.
Yeah.
We can go way off, but yeah, that ties it right back to just how aggressive and just how strong social media is, that literally at this point, something that should be for the little guy to say, hey, bartender, hey, construction worker, you can run for government. Yeah. You can't now. If you don't have millions of dollars, that's not a concept for you. But if you take that funding away, of course, there's always got to be rules and stuff, but it's and the thing about it is, people could say, well, that's unheard of. You can't do that. It used to be that way here. It is that way in other countries. So it's very doable. Not profound, more like rule-based. And yeah, I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but that's what I think.
I mean, we talked earlier about us having all these kind of fun debates. I couldn't agree with you more. That is something we 100% agree on.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't know how to get that done, because you've got people that step up and try to run for these offices saying things like that, and they don't get funded.
They don't do it. No, they don't.
And then
yeah, it's a
so
nasty.
How do you stop? Again, to me, it's like this big freight train. How do you stop this freight train without and I hate to say these things, but I
Revolution?
I hate to say things like that, or catastrophe, or
Yeah.
I just feel like human beings in general act really aggressively until the shit goes down, when things really break down, and then suddenly you've got your change.
Internal revolutions can happen. Donald Trump, who I'm certainly no supporter of, took the Republican Party and broke it. There is no normal power structure in that party anymore. That party completely changed. And in a country with just two parties, effectively, the Republican Party completely shifted. And that's why, as I understand the system, the American political system, it's the primaries. And that's where a new leader could get in and completely shift that Democrat Party. It happened in the Republican Party. It didn't, to me, happen for the better, but you do not have the same established leadership that you used to have that dates, back into well beyond Reagan and sort of a lineage and a party that was under control. That's not Donald Trump, yet they all fall in line under him now. So I think it was for the worse, my opinion, but it does show you that
someone can
change it all
up in there and break some shit. And that's the scary part, though, is it seems like things got to get broke.
And it can maybe get broken for the worse.
Right.
Chats and Tatts with Aaron Della Vedova.
I had this gut feeling. I'm like, we're going to sit down. I'm going to shed a few tears. I'm going to profess my love for my best friend over here and the journey we just took. But there's absolutely no way the two of us can ever have a conversation without it going here. Hey, look, we're not going to solve it.
It's not solvable. We can probably get it this week if we put our mind.
Are you saying it's not solvable?
Today, I meant. This week, we could solve it all.
Give us a few more days.
I'm busy actually, but I'll get with you in a couple of weeks. I'm coming over. We're gonna work this out.
Send me an email or two. We'll fix this. Yeah. No problem.
I do some of my best work in long form texts to you.
Oh God. Oh, I can't deal with any more texts. I've switched. I don't even text anymore. There's that feature where you can just speak into the microphone and send that. That's all I do now.
You do it so much. Most people, when they do it, say, "Hello, how are you?" You actually have a clean flow. You're so comfortable talking to your phone.
At first, I did it like that because I forgot I was not voice texting, and then I was talking to it. Period. Question mark.
Yeah, and you're that good. You're one with the machine, though. We
all are, dude. Cyborgs at this point. Yeah. All right, buddy. This could go on for days, and it will go on for days. You're coming to my house in a couple weeks for our very final farewell, hanging out with the family and the kids. I'm going to have a photographer there. We're going to take pictures of this whole bodysuit, put you in a nice G-string, lay you out by the pool, palm trees, fans.
I'm doing that even without the pictures.
Okay. That's our next date. In closing, thank you so much for taking this journey with me. I was just telling Michelle, my producer over here, about I got a little teary-eyed at the end, and she kind of noticed, and I was like, I don't know. At 51, it's just so strange to me that I'm having these like moments of that's the last time I'll do that. It was always about my whole life. It was like, hey, look, we're doing this. Oh, you're just new things. Hey, look, I'm not ready to go down. I'll go find new things to do. But I mean, I really don't know if I'm going to finish another bodysuit in my career. I'm a 30-year tattooer. I finished one today. Yeah. I might. Yeah. I probably won't. I mean, I've got a couple in progress that I might get done. We'll see. But today really hit me hard. One, our friendship, but two, realizing that this was, I might not do that again. I definitely am not going to do a 17-year tattoo journey again.
You said it before. That's one thing's neat. You can see your old tattoos, your slightly newer tattoos.
It's my story of my work. Yeah. I can see how I tattooed on your sleeve, to the next sleeve, to your back, to your front, to what I'm now doing on your legs. I mean, I definitely made them all kind of match and be cohesive, but I see the subtleties of basically half my career on your body.
Better eyes, a little more finer details in the early days.
Yeah, a little more bold and simple nowadays.
I love it. I like the newer ones better.
Thank you. I'm still improving?
You've gotten better. My legs are my favorite. You know that. I've told you that. I think they're super cool. And I mean, even my taste changed. Like I said before, when I pictured a tightrope walker, I pictured the tightrope walker that big and a bunch of stuff. And like now I picture like, I love this one big thing. I love my two big things on this leg and then lots of little elements. But yeah, Hey, you've gotten better.
Well, hopefully that continues for another couple years, you know?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Watching you get emotional is emotional for me too.
I'm gonna say something directly into your eyes. Look at me straight in my eyes.
I got you.
I love you.
That's a tough one. I love you too, buddy.
All right.
I really do. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that journey.
Thank you. It was awesome.
And
This is cool. Thank you for this.
Well,
I do feel nervous. I hope I said something viral. I hope you did. I can give you no viewers. This will be the real. I will not post this anywhere. These are promises I can make you. This will not go on social media with me. I hope I said something somebody will listen to. I feel bad if they don't, but at least you and I'll have this little.
This one was for us, man. This will be for you. Maybe in 20 years, you're sitting around somewhere. You can put it on the TV and shed a tear. Or
my vanity. I'm going to be looking at the number of. I'm going to be so sad when this is your least viewed, but that's on me. That's not on you. You guys did an awesome job. You did an awesome tattoo. I just have no. I've got no social media following for you.
Oh my gosh. We don't care about that. This was a story of tattoos, a story of our relationship, a story of a person who was willing to do a 350-hour art project on their body. That's what this story is about. And if people are into it, they're into it. And if people aren't into it, then I'll find something else to do.
There you go. Awesome. That was fun.
All right.
Good deal.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. That was my heartfelt best friend episode. Please stay tuned. I don't know what's next. We're going to try to keep good shit coming to you. Subscriptions and comments. We love them. Keep them coming. Peace, love, and communication.